I want to turn to Bishop Council Nedd. He is the bishop of the Chesapeake and the Northeast for the Episcopal Missionary Church. He's also a founding member of Project 21, and he'd like to tell us about a recent visit that he had in New York, visiting with the United Nations. Council Nedd, or should I say Bishop Nedd, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderfully. How about yourself?
Oh, great. Now tell me a little bit about why you went to the United Nations. Give us a little bit of a setup about your visit last week.
Okay, well, the NAACP traveled, took a delegation of their VIPs to, of all places, Geneva, Switzerland, to talk to the United Nations, specifically the UN Human Rights Council. They wanted to talk to the UN Human Rights Council to ask them to conduct an investigation into what they were terming voter suppression in the United States. And what they said is evidence of voter suppression in the United States is the fact that some states are now moving forward with legislation to require someone to show identification to vote in an election.
So wait now, this Human Rights Council, it's their job, or is their self-appointed job to see to it that human rights aren't being violated all across the globe?
Well, there's several issues here. One, the NAACP took an internal issue in the United States over to them as if they have any control over us, any authority to investigate activities in the United States. But putting that argument aside for a moment, the UN Human Rights Council is charged with a variety of different things, specifically looking into human rights abuses. Now, with all the things going on in Syria and the Congo and child forced labor, child forced drafting into armies, this litany of issues that the Human Rights Council can investigate and should be investigating, they're going to put the issue of someone wanting to check your identification on this list.
So where is voter ID ranked on a hierarchy, say, compared with Saudi Arabian policies of cutting off the hand for kleptomaniacs?
Well, I think if you came up with a list of the top 100 human rights abuses around this globe that the UN Human Rights Council should be investigating, this wouldn't be in the top 1,000. So
there's, allegations of cannibalism happening on the planet, sex trafficking, taking young people and putting them into the military against their will, all
and
manner.
Showing your identification before you cast a ballot in an election in the United States.
Okay. Well, and so the NAACP took an expensive, apparently first-class tour to Geneva to talk to the High Council about the Human Rights Council about this problem. And so what did they tell the Human Rights Council?
Well, I went up to New York, I guess last week or the week before, and had a meeting with the Assistant Secretary General for Human Rights. He was not even aware of the fact that the NAACP had gone over to talk to his colleagues in Switzerland about this issue.
Well, wouldn't it be protocol for him to have reached out to his colleagues to find out if he's got a meeting with you guys, what other meetings have been held?
Well, to me, that tells me that this is a non-issue in the eyes of everybody in the UN, and they see it for what it is. And it seems to me that, considering the fact that the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations didn't know that this meeting even took place, it seems that some people just wanted a free trip to Switzerland to get some chocolate and watches.
So you're saying it's possible that they didn't even have the meeting with the Human Rights Council?
It's possible. It's possible they didn't even have the meeting. No one in New York certainly knew about it. But even if they did have the meeting, I suspect that it just wasn't taken seriously, or they saw it exactly for what it was, a political play by a group with a specific interest. And
what did at your meeting, what did the commission of the council say that they were going to do in response to your meeting?
Well, they said they were going to check with their colleagues in Geneva and find out exactly what this was, what the crux of this meeting that took place in Geneva was. But it was clear to me coming out of the meeting that they're not going to follow up on the NAACP's report. The NAACP issued this very, very thick report, killing a lot of trees, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but they issued this very, very thick report and sent out press releases saying that they had these important meetings over in Switzerland. But I think the United Nations views it differently.
The protocol normally would be if they had gone and not only gotten their chocolates and new watches, but if they had gone to the meeting, what would the UN then do with the report?
Well, I guess if they were going to move forward with this, I suppose they would begin conducting investigation. But, the point that I made to them was that you've got a lot more serious issues to discuss.
Right. According to your press release, you said stay out of the United States.
Well, they need to stay out of the United States. That's just it. They need to stay out of the United States. They've got enough issues going on. The United States isn't wrought with human rights abuses, and certainly anything that's going on over here doesn't measure up to any number of things that are going on around this globe right now.
And isn't it true that voter ID in America is actually wildly popular along race lines, along partisan lines, along gender lines?
Well, it's a popular thing. I find it hard to believe that in this day and age, you need identification to get on a plane. You need identification to get on a train. You need an identification to cash a paycheck, open a bank account, go to the liquor store to cash a paycheck, even to walk into office buildings. Asking someone to show identification before they cast a ballot in an election is not an undue burden.
United Nations, stay out of American politics. You got to love it. All right, Bishop Nedd, I really appreciate you being a stand-up kind of guy, going to the United Nations and telling them directly.
Well, according to federal reports filed yesterday,